Israel accuses Iran of conducting a secret nuclear weapons program just days before US President Donald Trump is expected to announce his decision on the future of the nuclear deal. And the United Nations issues a warning to Israel after the deaths of at least 45 Palestinians protesting Israeli occupation. Hello, I'm Nathan King, filling in for Anna Naidu, and this is The Heat. Hello again. The United Nations Human Rights Chief says Israel must stop the excessive use of force by its security forces along the Gaza border. At least 45 Palestinians have been killed, with more than 6,000 wounded since demonstrations began in late March. Palestinians are demanding a return to their homes, homes they claim were seized when the State of Israel was created back in 1948. We begin our coverage with CGTN's Stephanie Freid in Tel Aviv. Stephanie, thanks so much for joining us. Let's start with the protests. What is Israel's position on these demonstrations? Pretty tough, right?
Quite tough. And the numbers, Nathan, speak for themselves. We're talking about, as you noted at the start, 45 killed in several weeks of protests. Israel's position, at least the government position, was quite clear from the start. They said if protesters come within several hundred meters of the security fence between Gaza and Israel, that they're going to have snipers there positioned to open fire and to shoot to kill. And that's exactly what's happening. The question comes in, international criticism as well as national criticism, on what sort of shoot to firing operation, or what kind of instruction are the snipers, are the soldiers there being given? They're shooting on protesters who are unarmed, and that's the criticism. In terms of the national appeal, here human rights advocates are at the Supreme Court this week in Israel, saying, again, questioning this order to use live fire against unarmed protesters as well. Amnesty International, as well as the UN, as you noted earlier, but Amnesty International is now calling for an arms embargo on Israel because of what has been called an excessive use of fire, live fire again, on these protesters. And
Stephanie, one big other story, of course, is the claim made this week by the Israeli Prime Minister that Iran lied about its nuclear ambitions before the 2015 nuclear deal. Let's have a listen to what he said.
First, Iran lied about never having a nuclear weapons program. 100,000 secret files prove that they lied. Second, even after the deal, Iran continued to preserve and expand its nuclear weapons know-how for future use. Why would a terrorist regime hide and meticulously catalog its secret nuclear files if not to use them at a later date?
Stephanie, what do we know about these files Netanyahu presented, and what's been the reaction? Timing's a little suspicious, isn't it?
Tiny, I'd say a bit more than that, Nathan. The reaction has not been the positive one I would guess the Prime Minister was expecting. First of all, overwhelmingly, what's coming out is this is old news. This information was included in a 2011 International Atomic Energy Agency report, so it's not new. As well, his credibility, Mr. Netanyahu, for this sort of dramatic theatrics, bringing props, as people would say, to his dramatic announcements, it's hitting his credibility, and we're seeing that. I don't know if you've seen them, Nathan. I have. Some of the memes around this latest announcement on the part of Mr. Netanyahu, memes that are showing him as Darth Vader, as a Marvel Comics character, as a cheap lounge performer. So needless to say, that's not great for the Prime Minister's credibility. Also, internally, his security cabinet ministers are saying that he is stirring up public tension. So there's some, now this is off the record, this is leaked according to reports, but they're not very happy about this announcement either, because they feel like they were used and the public is being used for Mr. Netanyahu to stir up tension, as they're saying. So that's kind of a cap of a majority or what people are saying here and outside of the country. Nathan.
Thanks, Stephanie. Much appreciated. That's Stephanie Freid reporting from Tel Aviv.